I don't know if I'm amazing. My wife doesn't tell me I'm amazing, so I'm not. So I'm very unique in the world. When I was in college, I was unique because I went to university to sell. Nobody does that in the US.
Because you have built the career in sales, what are the 3 most important tips you are going to give to the salespeople today, that these are the things you have to do? You can call me Ali. That is very short, Ali.
Ali. Well, I actually met Muhammad Ali in the Philadelphia airport and sat down with him and had a conversation before he was sick and died. Somebody gave me this advice when I was your age, I probably wouldn't have lost my first company. And when I lost that business at 46, I lost $20 million.
That is the purpose of this podcast. Hello everyone, my name is Ali. I'm the CEO of Al-Burraq Technologies, and this podcast is presented to you from the platform of Techstar magazine. Today we have an amazing tech star who has done great in the field of sales. He has been doing great. Edward Golod, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Edward, it will be great if you can introduce yourself and give us a brief information about what you have done in the past and some of the amazing stuff you have done in the past.
I don't know if I'm amazing. My wife doesn't tell me I'm amazing, so I'm not. So I'm very unique in the world. When I was in college, I was unique because I went to university to sell. Nobody does that in the US. I started my first business at 28, building the US market for command and control. I built rooms like NASA, but I did that for large corporations. Then I built another startup on Wall Street selling financial software. While that was going on, I also had work, and I became #1 salesperson at Microsoft for 4 years. This is all on my LinkedIn. Then I worked for very technical companies like SAS or SAS Institute. And then along the way, I built my third business, which is what I'm doing now, which is Revenue Accelerators. So what makes me unique and why people like to talk to me is I've done 265, maybe you want to write this down. I've done $265 million of sales. I've run 3 companies that I built. I worked at Teradata, SAS, Microsoft, and here I am. And I only work with startups, and I know how hard it is. So Mohammed, thank you for inviting me to talk today.
Thank you so much for the insights. And your career has been amazing. That I can see. And your LinkedIn says that clearly. Your career was very much planned. And the age you were telling, in that age, what motivated you in that planned career? Was it something like someone was telling you that this is the path, or you come up with that on your own?
That's a good question. If you're a startup and you're taking money, whether it's pre or seed, friends or family, and you have a television in your house, and on that television, sometimes you watch the show where Mark Cuban and everybody is giving away money, right? And you listen to Mark Cuban, who's a 5-time billionaire, you'll learn that people that make it come from nothing. So if you're listening and you come from a lot of money, your father or your parents are really rich, I don't know, it's hard. I came from nothing. My grandfather came from Eastern Russia. We're Russian Orthodox Jews. When I was growing up as a little boy, we had people at our table for the Jewish holidays. One of them came from Auschwitz and was in the concentration camps. And I slept on the couch till I was 15. And I paid for my own college. I paid for my own business. I paid for my own weddings. I paid for my own car. And I paid for my father to retire. And I gave my mother money. I came from nothing. So what prompted me to be a salesperson in the 70s was it was the best way to make the most money and have a more lucrative career. And then I ended up building companies after. That's what prompted me. And the takeaway is, when you're building a startup, there's two ways to look at it. A, I'll make a lot of money, I'll be very famous, and I'll be a billionaire, and I'm going to be on, internet. That's great. Lots of luck. B, if I fail, they will take my house, they will take my car, they will take my money for my children's college. I cannot fail.
That is dense. And that is something which very few people have those guts to do that, really. And that is impressive. Because you have built the career in sales, what are the 3 most important tips you are going to give to the salespeople today, that these are the things you have to do?
That's a great question. And actually, Mohammed, you have one of them. And that's why I'm on this call. I get asked all the time to do this.
Right.
You have to be smart to talk to me. You have to be well presented like you. And you have to be hungry. If you're not hungry, I'm not taking time to do this. I'd rather go in my kitchen and make a sandwich than have to take time to do this. So the 3 things that you need to really make it in sales. Number one is empathy. I'll spell that if you don't understand my New York talk, which is EMPAT.
I do.
And I used to interview salespeople in my first company, which, by the way, went to $40 million in revenue. And I would interview salespeople, and I would say to them, this true story. I would take a piece of paper, I'd fold it in half, and I'd say to them, I will hire you if you can guess this question, and I will pay you. At that time, we were paying $120,000, $130,000, for people to work for us. I will pay you $150,000 if you can answer this question. And I would do it when they'd walk in, before they would tell me how great they are. And I would say, what's the number one quality of a salesperson who is destined to be a millionaire? Nobody ever got it. 0. Empathy means the people you sell to, you feel, you are, you sense, you live, and you understand them, and they see that, and they trust you, and they want to engage with you. It's like dating, whether you're a man or a woman. When you want to date someone, they either trust you in a moment, or they just don't trust you. That's empathy. Number 2 is metal. I'll spell it again. METTLE. Tenacity. If somebody tells me I'm no good, if they tell me I'm stupid, if they tell me I'm too short, if they tell me I'm too Jewish, which I got beat up in school all the time, my answer is, you can kiss my ass, because that's who I am, and I will be who I need to be when I get older and start businesses. So I have the tenacity, almost like a Navy SEAL or a Green Beret or a special ops person. You have to have that. If you don't, you're soft. And if you're soft, it's going to be hard. And years ago, there were not a lot of startups. Now there's like 4 million. So you have to have metal. So you need empathy to understand your customer and have them trust you, the way I trust Mohammed, actually. Number 2, you have to have metal or tenacity. And number 3, you have to be wicked ass smart. If you're not smart, then go home and go to sleep or watch TV. You have to be smart. Years ago, I had to be really smart. I used to be able to run a data center. So when I was selling to a data center at like the CIA, I would say to these guys, I could run your data center, which was true. You have to be an authority. And if you're not an authority and you're just selling what you have, it's going to be very hard.
Right. The last 2 are okay. But for the first one, I have to ask you a counter question, right? Because it is like for the people who are starting, they do not know how to build that relationship with the customer so that they can have the empathy. They can feel for him. So how do you suggest them that do these things, do the ABC things, so that you can build a relationship with your customer?
That's a great question. I'll answer that with a dream. One of my dreams is to be on stage in front of 20,000 people. I love to speak. And I want in the 20,000 for everybody to be sales trainers, startup companies, consultants. And I want to say to the 20,000, come up on stage right now. If you can talk to 20,000 and have them trust you and believe you and want to listen to you and want to follow you, come on stage if you have that. Because consulting and advice without action is just a feel good. So let me go back to your question. So Ed, how does a startup, and especially if you're not from the US, because when you sell in the US, I mean, I'm a US person, I'm a New York person, I'm not that unique. How do you develop empathy? I'm going to show you how. If you're watching this, you could see myself and you could see Muhammad. The way I look at Muhammad when I came on screen today, before I came on screen, I didn't know who he was. He had 7,000 followers. He's from Pakistan. I sort of knew about him before. I know he's done some dev work with some guys that I've known. And I'm thinking, just another guy selling dev. I don't want to do this. I didn't want to waste my time. I canceled twice on him. When he came on camera, within seconds, I liked him. If you think I'm full of bullshit, that's your choice. I'm going to tell you why I'm right and why you're wrong if you're thinking that. Look at him right now on camera. He's got a trustworthy face. His eyes are wide open, which means he's receptive. He's groomed and he combed his hair nice and he looks nice. He's sitting up straight. His head and his body language, kinesics, the study of kinesiology, his body language is receptive. And he's young, and he doesn't have an air of attitude. And I look at all of that in seconds and say, looks like a nice guy. He may not be the smartest, I don't know yet. And he may not be able to sell, I don't know yet. But I think this is an okay guy. And I think if I got to know this guy, I think he'd be pretty good in working with me or knowing me. Your customer, you're listening, your customer is not Muhammad. They're 35, they're 40, they're 45, they're 50. They're a man or a woman. If they're a woman, it's one problem. If they're a man, they're another problem. And if they're 30 years old and you're selling those people, then hang up the phone or disconnect the computer because you don't need any help. But if you're selling it to the US and it's Fortune 500 corporations, they're still there. There's 500 Fortune 500 companies, but there's 14 million salespeople on the planet. Wow, that's a lot of salespeople for not a lot of people. When you walk in the door, they know who you are. The same way that if you were in a television studio and someone said, we're going to do an interview and you're invited and you could watch. And in the studio, in walks Richard Branson, founder of Virgin, or Elon Musk, or Bill Gates, who I met because I worked at Microsoft. And they walk in the door, not only are you intimidated, but you can read them on the spot. That's empathy. You want to know how to do it? It's body language. It's available. It's on the internet. You don't have to buy a book, and you have to read it. But only 10 or 20% of the people that read it can do it. And that is why, my friends, Pareto's rule, Pareto, Pareto's rule is like Moore's law. Pareto's rule says 80% of your business comes from 20% of your people. 80% of your success comes from 20% of your people. I'm always right. If 20% get it, I'm the 1% in the 20. But if you're in the 20%, you'll have a better start if you'll make a lot of money.
I hope that will give some of the insights.
Come on, Mo. Can I call you Mo or I call you Muhammad? What do I call you?
You can call me Ali. That is very short. A-L-I.
Ali. Well, I actually met Muhammad Ali in the Philadelphia airport and sat down with him and had a conversation before he was sick and died.
I hope he did not practice on you. He was so fast.
No, he was lovely. He was
lovely. He was lovely.
Hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. Never say the word hope. Never say the word I think. say, I know, I do not know, or I will find out. But hope is not something you bank on. I hope I make money. My wife doesn't hope I make money. She demands that I make money. Therefore, I must make money. This is all about growing a startup. Or
Right.
otherwise, you're going to be going back and forth between your product, your market, and it goes all over the place. If you can't sell, you will not make the money. It's just listen to 𝗺𝗃𝗃. I mean, the guy. What's the show? I'm having a moment. What's the show? The Short Tank. Watch Short Tank and watch 𝗺𝗃𝗃. Very intense guy.
Now, I'm coming to another question, right? Because the founders and the CEOs especially has to sell their companies, right? And most of the CEOs, they are quiet. They do not speak. What do you think? Should they be remain as the CEO, or they should bring someone else as a CEO, or they should improve it? What is the most easy thing for them?
Well, that is an interesting question, but they don't have that choice, Ali. They don't have that choice because if you have a startup, you can't hire another CEO unless you have several millions of dollars. And they may not be enough for them to do if you're running the business. So your question really is restated as if they're not comfortable selling or they have a heavy accent. I have a lot of Israeli relationships, a lot of Israeli clients, and I'm Jewish. And I don't understand how they talk. They have a very heavy accent. So you have to sell if you're the founder CEO. And if you're from a part of the world that is hard to understand, and I won't get specific, but there are countries where people speak too fast. You don't understand them, and you have to figure that out. I don't think you hire a CEO. I think you have to hire somebody who has empathy and can sell and figure it out. But quite frankly, even if I can't understand you, if you sell me business impact, if you sell me value, if you say to me, Ed, I understand your business, I know what your problems are, I know why you can't fix your problems, I understand that you'd like to fix your problems, but you don't have enough money, I understand that, and here's some things I can do. Here are some things I can offer you. Here are some things that may help you.
Right. So you're saying that even if you're not good at selling, if you're selling the right thing, people will buy it.
No.
Okay.
No, look, everybody listening is saying right now, yeah, this guy's really smart, but he doesn't know what I know. Let me tell you what I know and why Ali is wrong on that answer. So right now I'm skilled. Skilled means I could sell or I can manage a dev project. I've been
Okay.
in AI with Watson almost 8 years. I know machine learning. I know data science. I know cyber. I know cybersecurity. I know logistics. I know IoT. I understand open source. I used to code when I was a young boy. I don't code anymore, but I could read Java. I understand SAP. I could go on and on and on and on. I probably could sell over 300 platforms if I had to or wanted to. So if you're listening and you have a really complex product, I'll give you a complex product. I had a guy, really nice guy, young guy, about 30, hard to understand, and he had retina software that was able to take an iPhone, hold it up and do an eye exam and create an RX prescription that Bausch and Lomb could take and create glasses for you. And he was doing it because he wanted people in Africa and in very poor areas to be able to get glasses. And he wanted to do it for $10 a glasses so people in poor areas could read. And he found out that illiteracy was a lot of them and the children could not read, and a lot of them couldn't read because they couldn't see correctly. He had deep technology on AI working with the retina and the optics and the diffraction and diffusion and everything. And I understood that. And I spoke to the top ophthalmic surgeon in England that was helping him. And I understood what he said. His business failed. Couldn't sell it. So the point is, You probably love your technology more than you love your family. And I get that. When I built my first business, I loved it. I would fly to Los Angeles from New York and come home the same day. I spent 14 hours on planes to come home and take care of my children and give them baths and be a dad. But when I walked into the CIA or IBM or AT&T or Unical or Chase Manhattan Bank or the stock exchange, when I walked in, I was the smartest guy in that room. Not because of my technology, because I knew how to run data centers. So if you're listening and you love your technology more than you love your customer, you're going to fail. I think you're going to fail. You still might be successful, but it's hard.
That means empathy with the customer is the most important thing. You need to know that you need to know the actual needs of the customers. Am I right now?
You need to know the needs. What do I need?
Right.
What do I need as a customer? Now, you can buy all this in books. So if I'm selling to Ali, I have to know, what does he need to be a better development company and sell bigger deals? I have to also know his latent pain, latent, latent. What is Ali's problem that's not on the surface, but it's probably under the surface, but it's there? Maybe he needs to hire more people, but he can't afford it. Maybe he needs to come to the US and sell, but it's very daunting to come to New York and, talk to people. So what is Ali's needs? What can he pay for to fix it? How would he get the money? What would he do if he had it working better? And how would it help him as a business person? I need to know all that. If you think this is complicated, it's not. This is not complicated. Excuse me. What we're talking about is behavioral and emotional intelligence. If you have a pencil or a pen, I'd write this down. There's a book called Emotional Intelligence. I read it when I was, 20 years ago. It changed my life. Emotional intelligence is all about how you work in a company and how do you know when to argue, when not to? How do you know when to be quiet, when to speak up? How do you know how to present your point of view? How do people want to engage with you? You need an emotional IQ. So if you have great product, but you don't like to sell, then you're going to have to hire salespeople to sell for you. Then you're going to have to hire people to manage your salespeople. That is your most expensive asset. And that's difficult. So to learn these things and learn empathy and learn your craft, you need to deal with the art of communicating. And unfortunately, today has changed and the world has changed, and we all know that. We all know that. And when ChatGPT came out in November, I was not surprised because I was doing AI work a decade ago. And I knew that probably in a year from now, in 1 year, it's in Germany already, but in 1 year, Ali will do this podcast, video cast, and I could be a cyborg human and look like Ed, talk like Ed, and speak like Ed, and it'll be good enough where you probably wouldn't know it. But what are you going to do then? How are you going to compete with that? This is really scaring the pants off of me. That's why I think communication is critical, because people buy from people they like and people that they know. I don't think people are going to wake up one day and say, "Oh, hi, dear, I'm going to work. My wife, Diane, I'm going to work," or "My husband, I'm going to work. And I'm going to buy from a robot today. I'm so excited. I can't wait to talk to a robot and say, oh, by the way, my children are sick. How are your children?"
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So, what are the most important things you say that a founder should have? The most important qualities of founders or CEOs who are selling their businesses they should have. Is it going to be the same thing which a salesperson? Because a salesperson and a founder, they are two different kind of people, right? So for a founder, what are the three most important qualities?
When you mean selling, you don't mean selling their company, you mean selling their product or
Yeah.
solution.
Yes.
Okay. So as a founder that sells, I would say it's the same. If
Okay.
listen, I've been a founder 3 times. I'm a founder now. Everybody's a founder. When I was Ali's age, anybody that was a founder was 60 years old. Now, if you're a teenager, you're a founder of a social media business.
Yeah, of course.
If you're going to sell your product or services, your technology, one of my Israeli clients has to sell to Intel. He has a product that I love that is 6 times faster in development, compression, update, code release. In other words, he can process code 6 times faster. It's never been done before. And he needs Intel as a partner, because if he gets Intel as a partner, everyone's going to listen to him. Wow, Intel, this is great. Well, that must be you really are genuine. He has trouble selling. He doesn't sell well. So again, I go back to, if you're going to sell and you're going to try to sell something like an Intel or a Motorola or a large company or a mid-sized company or a CFO or a head of logistics or a head of supply chain or a manager of supply chain, you have to explain to them from the get-go, the beginning, I understand how you're operating, and there are some things I could bring to the table, and I think we can improve the operation with this. That's understanding them. It's empathy, but yes, you're explaining how you're going to help them. I would stay on that. I think that's 90% of it. Having the tenacity to stay with it is important, and having the technology is important. You have to be an expert. Because if I don't buy from you, there's probably 20 guys or women that could sell me. It's a tough space. If you're a founder and you're not really great at sales, you got to figure that out. But a bot, a digital agent, is not going to buy your software, at least not in the next couple of years. So you still have to sell to humans, and they're stressed out and they're overloaded and everybody's flipping out, and 95% is on the phone. And we all know the drill. In the US, the divorce rate is almost 55, 60%. Broken families. We're stressed out people. You got to sell to stressed out people, and you have to know how to be empathetic. It's not easy. That's why I think your technology is easy. Anybody could build great technology. I don't think anybody can go to a head of a business and have them say, wow, this is amazing. Let's take $1 million and buy from you. That's hard.
Right. I say in that building a technology is just 5 to 10% of the company. The rest of that is marketing, sales, and execution. So I say that in most of the cases. So
you're right.
Yeah. Let's come to the next question, because we are talking about the AI and things like that. What do you think about AI, generative AI, and what do you think how much this is going to affect our current processes?
I'd like to answer that, and I will, but I feel stupid.
No. Right. Till now, you have been amazing.
I feel stupid because if I take my automobile and go buy gasoline or petrol, the guy pumping my gas knows about AI also. So everybody's telling you what to do. Everybody is telling you what to do. The one person that I listen to the most on AI, I forgot his name. I'm sorry about that. But the person was about 76 years old, maybe 77. He was the head engineer at Google, and he just resigned, I think about 4 or 5 months ago, don't quote me. And he went on LinkedIn and he said, I'm leaving Google. And I can't imagine how wealthy he is, being in Google and, building their technology. And he said, I'm leaving Google because AI will create at least $3 trillion of wealth in the world, and the US will take $1 trillion of it. That's going to be almost, 10, 15% of the United States economy. And AI is going to be more invasive than a nuclear arsenal. And what's going to happen in the world is not we're going to have Russia drop a bomb and ruin the United States or kill us. What's going to happen is happening now, that Russia and China are getting together. I forgot what other country they're bringing in from Europe, and they're creating a trifecta. And they're building all their arsenals around owning and dominating generative AI. Because you can control people, you can control countries, you can control the world with it. So do I think about it? It's what this man said, who was 1 billion times smarter than me. He said AI will be more invasive and more impactful than the invention of the telegraph, the telephone, the automobile, the airplane. I use it every day, but it scares me, not because I'm not smart, because people are stupid generally, and they're going to use it to think they're smart. And it's a dangerous toy for a dangerous person who's not smart.
Right. So I say that whatever you are saying, that is exactly what I also believe. And I think that AI, this new change, this is going to be the most drastic change till now we have. The most, you can say, uh, challenging part of our generation or the previous ones as well. Like whatever the evolution came till now,
100
that
years.
was nothing. That was nothing in front of this one which is coming, because the control people are gonna have, those who the companies who are gonna have on the people through AI, that is going to be very dangerous as well.
It will be. And let me leave you on this note, because I know we're going to run out of time soon, but let me leave you with this note. If you're listening to this, and again, I'm not that smart. I mean, I think I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. If you're listening to this, here's how it's going to be dangerous for you as a startup. You use ChatGPT and Bing and all the other 80 or 90 or 100 variations of this, and you create amazing stuff, amazing content, amazing webpage, amazing product, amazing marketing. You create I use it. I create amazing content. Write me this, do me that. It's a gift. Where it's dangerous is ultimately someone in business will say to you, "Oh, hi, Ed. Yeah, I received your information. I received your content. I've seen your LinkedIn. I've listened to you. You're really smart." And I don't say to them, "Well, I use ChatGPT like every 10 minutes." Then they say to me, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. So, Ed, here's what I'm thinking. You see, my business is having a problem because of X, and we're trying to do this differently, and we're having problems getting supply out of China, but I really think we could finance it. But your software will do a lot. But I'm asking you a general question. Should we export less from China, or do you think we should just keep on what we're doing? I'm just curious about what you think. What are you going to do? Well, that's a great question. Hold on. Let me go to ChatGPT and ask it, and then I'll give you an answer. That's the problem. That's the problem. It will fix a lot of your repetitive work, but it will not make you smarter, because you have to communicate it. And when that comes out, it's going to be really embarrassing. Really embarrassing.
And most important part of this one is going to be that because generative AI has the power to take the decision. So that decision making feature, which was the part of human, that is going to be that is going to be shifted toward the AI. So I think that part, generative AI, is going to be more dangerous than AI.
Maybe. I mean, what decision? So the AI says, do this way with this data, these parameters, and you'll get this result. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying, correct?
Yes. And in that, the important part is going to be that, look, let's say we have some problem, right? So in that case, sometimes we have to decide which part we should take, A or B. In the future, in the very near future, AI is going to decide that this is going to be the best one, and this is the reason for that, because it has so much data, it has so much information, so much knowledge, that it knows better than a human being.
Right now, you're a startup, you're listening. How does that
Yeah.
impact your audience?
Because as you said, the repetitive task, that is not going to be there. That is one thing, right now, let's say I recently generated a code of our rental mobile application through AI, right?
Mhm.
But I generated it in the parts, like I was telling it, okay, now you have to build me a login authorization code, now you have to build me a booking code, now you have to build me an algorithm for the checkout stuff, right? I was telling the AI in parts, right?
Mhm.
But in future, I'm going to say to the AI, okay, build me a rental car application. It will give
Right.
you all the details. Okay, rental car is going to have these features. Which one do you want in your application? And we are going to
Mhm.
tell them, okay, these features are needed, and it is going to build you the whole thing. It is going to tell you this is how you need to host it, this is how you need to run it.
Mhm.
So the decisions, AI is telling you that these are the decisions you have to take, right? So
Mhm.
these things I'm talking, that these complete things, the complete process is going to be taken over by the AI. So what do you think
Okay.
about that?
That's an interesting. That's an interesting point of view. Very provocative. I don't agree with it.
Right, right.
So by the time AI, generative or not, or temporal, or whatever you want to call it, has actual humanoid looking robotics from Star Wars. Well, they're not even human, but think of like real human looking robots sitting in a room with humans and participating in those conversations. I don't see it in the next 10 years. I think it'll be there, but I don't see it in the next 10 years. And I don't see in the next 10 years these robots sitting in rooms. So, but I do see people saying in a business room conference, all right, we're going to buy from Ali. His proposal is for X. The price is Y. Are we going to buy from Ali? Or we're going to buy from this other vendor or this other vendor? I see them saying, we did the analysis and our AI is telling us, do not buy from Ali, buy from the other company. I see that. I see it right away. I don't think that's a problem because they have to buy you, your service, your technology, your reliability, your customers, your engagement. They have to email you and say, what is wrong with this? We are not moving to robotic Jetsons flying around in cars just yet. We're at the beginning of it. We're at the beginning of it. I'll tell you a story before I say goodbye. I was a young boy. I was probably 14. And my father took me to a government hospital because our family didn't have much money. So we went to government hospitals, veterans hospitals, they called them. And I had to go see my grandfather. And my grandfather was actually my mother's stepfather back from like 100 years ago, Grandpa Sam. And he was dying. And I was like 14. I never saw anybody like dying. And I went to the hospital with my father, who was uh, could build homes and build cars and build anything, but he didn't go to college. And I looked at my grandfather and said to my grandfather, who I didn't think was going to die right there because he looked like sort of okay. I said, let me ask you, Grandpa Sam, what was it like when you saw the first airplane? He literally was walking in a street one day and for the first time saw an airplane. I said, what was it like when you saw the first telephone? He remembers the first time he saw a telephone. And I asked him, when was the first time you saw an automobile? He was born like 1891. And he told me what it was like. I'm getting very emotional. What it was like when he saw that. If you think you're going to wake up in 20 years and go, well, I remember when 𝗙ecie𝗶𝗹𝗀 came out in November of 2022 and I used it. Yeah, you're going to go, wow, that was the beginning. You're going to remember that. But it's not happening tomorrow. So if you think it's hard to sell, if you think it's hard to be empathetic, if you think it's hard to be knowledgeable, and if you think it's hard to compete with AI, if I was a lot younger today and I was starting my first business, I would not be working 80 hours a week. I'd be working 100 because I'd be in the library 30 hours more a week trying to understand everything or online. And we didn't have online when I built my first two companies. Ali, thank you for having me. You've been awesome. You're a nice guy. I look forward to these clips and things like that. And I hope you send these clips out in the 1, 2, 3 minutes to everybody, because somebody gave me this advice when I was your age. I probably wouldn't have lost my first company. And when I lost that business at 46, I lost $20 million.
That is the purpose of this podcast. Thank you so much for watching us. Stay connected, and we're going to bring you more tech stars like Edward.